Welcome, everybody, to the Psychedelic Treatment Podcast. John Giordano, I'm your co-host, Scott Jones. I want to thank you for joining us and remind you before we even start the show, if you like it, if you just want to know more, make sure that you share this, click the reminder so that you know when we have other shows. But sharing it is the best way for us to get the message out there. John, it's been a few weeks since we've been together. You've been busy, I guess, huh?
Well, here's the story. I from judo and karate I've done over 60 years. I had stenosis in my neck, and if I didn't take care of it, they said I could be paralyzed. So I said, okay, we'll take care of it. They wound up putting 14 screws in my neck. I have 2 rods going down my neck, and I had 43 staples. And it's been 6 weeks. But so far, I'm doing great. I do hyperbarics to help heal it. I do red light therapy. I do infrared sauna, and I do cold plunge. All these things combined heal the body and inflammation and repair cells and things like that. Plus, I do NAD, which is an enzyme that works for your mitochondria, and it does cell repair. So, and nutrients also. That's about it.
So, I also have had, I had a hangnail, right. I don't know if you could see. Well, okay. Not as bad, I guess. But yeah, John, you understand pain management is important, especially for people in recovery, that they pay attention to the pain so that they don't turn to, maybe old habits.
I didn't take any pain medication. I only took.
That's why the management is important.
For 3 days or 4 days. And when I got home, I was on muscle relaxer and gabapentin. And now I'm off of that about a week now.
Wow.
Wow. And that's it.
Excellent. So I'm going to be making fun of John over here because he can't turn his head and see me right now. But you can see me on the screen. Never mind. I won't make fun of John. All right. So, John, we have a guest. It's good to be back to see you again. But let's get down to business. We have a great guest with us. Her name is Amy Nolte, excuse me, and she's coming from up in Saratoga, New York. And she's actually from my neck of the woods back in Syracuse, New York, and Liverpool, New York. Amy, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me this morning. It's great to be here.
Absolutely our pleasure to have you here. And let me get this right. Is it Soul Energy Evolution? Is that how you operate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Terrific. You're a sound medicine practitioner, crystal practitioner, Reiki master teacher. You do coaching. That's a whole lot that you do there, right?
Yeah, that's the non-day job. So yes, it's a lot.
Well, John, you've got some experience with a lot of these things because you've used a lot of these therapies in addiction recovery and mental health.
We use the crystal bowls. We use sound therapy, Reiki. We've done everything in our treatment center.
Yeah, I didn't hear Reiki on your list of things you're doing on the other side of surgery, though. But
no, we're not. I'm not doing that right now. But I'm doing so many different things.
Yeah,
we can do so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, the sound therapy works with frequencies, and a lot of people don't understand what frequencies are about.
Yeah.
Everything's made of frequencies.
Everything.
So tell us a little bit about your approaches and what you do, and then we'll go into a whole bunch of other things.
Okay. So a lot. My actual daytime job is as a business analyst. So it's what I do is I listen and I kind of identify pain points and what's not feeling right. And then together with that client, I design and craft a solution. And sometimes it's sound, sometimes it's sound and crystals, or when I have someone on the table, it can be a combination of all those things, but it really does come from hearing what's broken and sort of designing with the end in mind. And I can either talk through the session with them or just be quiet and let them receive. So it's all what's just happening in the moment, responding to it. And, no 2 sessions or clients are ever the same.
So let me ask you a question. What's your experience with psychedelics, since this is a psychedelic podcast?
Absolutely. Um, well, I first tried them because I was sort of opening up spiritually and understanding things in a much different way, and tried them recreationally. Just although I did, I approached it very ceremonial and sacred, and I thought. I didn't know that whole world was out there. It was such a beautiful, being able to see the connectivity of all things, being able to um, just feel a part of everything. And I think that enhanced how I approach some of my client work. On the flip side of that, although it wasn't a sacred and special type of sitting with the medicine, I was microdosing about 2 months straight.
What were
Uh,
you microdosing? What medicine?
it was just a tiny capsule of like a Blue Meanie and Golden Teacher combo, but so small. It didn't get into the
No, no. What
psychic.
is psilocybin you're talking about?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the problem that we're having with this new paradigm with psychedelics.
Hmm.
You know, obviously SSRIs really don't work very well for people. Okay, they work for some people, not all people, but the problem is that it's an educated guess on what dosage to give, what medication to give, and all this other kind of stuff, and it works for a while and doesn't work. So psychedelics have been known to help with depression and anxiety and PTSD.
Hmm.
Now, there is different types of psychedelics. You have psilocybin, you have uh, ketamine. What ketamine is, is used for when you have an operation and things like that. It's an anesthetic, and at
Yeah.
low doses, it goes into like a psychedelic experience. And then you have MDMA, which they used to call ecstasy. Okay, it's a heart opener, they call it. And then you have ibogaine, ayahuasca. Ibogaine was primarily used for a rite of passage and used for opioid addiction. And you have ayahuasca, and you have a lot of San Pedro. There's a lot of different psychedelics. Now, the problem I believe with this, that with people I don't think are educated enough about depression and anxiety, is that it's multifaceted. Now, when you do psychedelics, you need integration therapy with it. Just to do a substance and open up that door in the subconscious, but you need support. Okay, and it need support from people who know about psychedelics, who actually do in what we call integration therapy, and it needs to be an ongoing therapy. And I believe microdosing is very important for people to do, because I think that supports the science of how it's growing new receptor sites in the brain, but those receptor sites have to be nourished. Okay, so you have to change your behaviors. You have to change the way you think, okay? Because a lot of people with depression and anxiety, they go into that dark hole and they don't want to do anything. They don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to look at life anymore, and everything overwhelms them. You have to change your thinking, and it's not easy. It's easy to say, but hard to do. But it takes practice, just like anything else.
Hmm.
Then you have to look at your nutrition, and you have to look at your diet, okay, and see the deficiencies that you have in that. If you're doing processed food and sugar, if you're not exercising, you're not raising your dopamine and getting rid of stress, it's another issue. So there's multiple issues with this. And the problem with psychedelic treatment is you have a lot of people that mean well, but what's going on is they're not really checking people out medically. Like for instance, MDMA, you can't take certain SSRIs because you can cause serotonin toxicity, which could cause serious problems or death. So you have to know what's on board before you give any of these substances. And it has to be done, whether it's a shaman, I don't care who they are, but they have to be doing it in a professional and medical approach also, not just a spiritual approach.
Sure.
So those are some of the things. That's why I started this podcast, The Pros and Cons of Psychedelic Treatment, is because people don't understand. They think they could just do psychedelics and that's it. No, you have to change a lot of different things. It's a complex problem that we have, or dis-ease, if you want to call it.
Hmm.
All right. And support is very important on many different ways. Now, what you do, tuning into the energy of people, also is important because, as you know, as a practitioner, that when you're in depression and anxiety and you're not living a life of wellness, your energy is off. So then your frequencies are off. And therefore, you're out of homeostasis.
Hmm.
So you need to get balanced in many different quadrants in your psyche and your body and things like that. So what do you think about what I just said?
Well, I think it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of front loading information. I wished I'd known all that before that experience. I do work with someone who does approach it ceremonial and did design a dose for me in that sense. But
A lot of people don't know this. It's
yeah,
okay. It's
yeah.
not common
So,
knowledge. That's why I'm doing these podcasts. And I work from a science base. I don't work from an
yeah.
anecdotal base. I work with the scientists and researchers and neuroscientists and geneticists and people that are the leaders in the industry of psychedelics, like Dr. Deborah Mash, who's a pioneer. And Ibogaine treatment. I've been doing psychedelic treatment since 1996.
Excellent.
So very familiar with how to do all of this. We used to have a facility in St. Kitts where we detoxed people that came there to get off heroin, alcohol, and things of that nature. And we had sweat lodge there. We had all kind of spiritual approaches. We had sound therapy. We did some of the women did Reiki. Um, so most people don't know. That's why I'm on here and I'm sharing information with you and and that's what I want. I want your feedback and how you see this.
I think that there's always going to be a calling uh, I'm just going to say the medicine, and that can be any level of psilocybin. It's just for me to have something to hold on to. Um, I think that it calls you. It either can call you physically, like you physically need that. There's some sort of spiritual component to it, and maybe it brings it into your life that way. And it's very easy if you're not going with someone who is a professional in terms of dosing and working with you. I did have the positive experience of having that. The person I work with is very spiritual, but is also an Army medic. So there's a lot of information that goes into that for her. She takes it very seriously, not just from a spiritual standpoint. She's got quite the operation. And that said, I felt I answered a call to that because I needed that in my life, but I could see we're having more information and working with more structure and having a real understanding of how those other parts of you really need to be whole. Your mental body, your physical body, your energetic body, that all works together. And so I appreciate you sharing the information. And I think it's really easy for people to get down a rabbit hole of, oh, this is a fun thing to do on a Saturday night, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's super dangerous. Like, I
Well,
don't.
our planet is a system. So are we. We're a
Yes,
complex system. Now, some people say, well, it's so much stuff to look at, so much stuff to do. Well, we do the best we can.
absolutely.
But knowledge is power. But, and there's always a but, without action is worthless.
Right.
So it's like knowing how to drive, but you never drive a car.
Hmm.
So, what good is it? But the work you do, a lot of people look at it as airy fairy stuff, and
Yeah.
and what does that have to do with anything? We're made of energy,
Oh,
and what Reiki does is it taps into that energy field, and what it does, in my understanding, is that it creates a homeostasis within the energy field to
correct.
bring you back to that center point. And
Yes.
then, right, and then with the when you do the sound therapy, okay, that awakens your energy and your frequencies
Hmm.
on a different thing, because you got different bowls and different sounds through the heart energy. They do the different chakras, and
Yes.
chakras are your energy wheels. For people that don't know what that is, you got a crown chakra, the grounding chakra, all these different energy, and some of them, those wheels are not turning properly, or turning too fast or too slow. And
Right.
so what this sound therapy does, it coordinates everything to be balanced, and balance
Mm.
is the key to being whole, or holism.
Yes.
So, and I love the work that you do, because
Thank you.
um, it's the kind of work that's necessary. And people say, well, there's not a lot of science. Well, uh, in order to do research,
Hmm.
you need an end game. Okay,
Yes.
and the end game is usually, how much money can we make? Okay, so a
Yeah.
lot of people don't have that money, but they see the results. Okay,
Right.
and then scientists will say, well, that's a placebo effect. Okay, and it may or may not be. But what people have to understand, there are things that we do not understand. Okay, and we're learning more and more about our planet, about the universe, about ourselves.
Yeah.
Uh, so you know what I learned in life? You know what I know? I
What?
don't know.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Um, I wanted to speak on one thing you were talking about, because I think, that the chakra system is one thing, and I think that's how we function on the day to day part of it. But I think one of the biggest things I do is help to, I'm going to air quote, remove trauma within the energetic body system. Trauma doesn't have to be a terrible, big tragic event. It just has to be something your body, mind, or spirit wasn't ready to receive at the moment.
I love that.
And
Subacute, not acute.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, because it's not, it's that happens to all of us. And it's also a word that gets thrown around a lot. But there really is some meat to that. And that energy sticks like outside the body, within the body. Being a Reiki master, being an energy healer, what I do is I use the instruments. I also use tuning forks. I'll tap it, and then I can feel in the system where it's not feeling right. And so the bowls, the forks, all that does is sort of remind the body what homeostasis is, what that feels like. And those energy waves that come um, through the bowls, especially, they're like mandalas. They start creating a layer in one direction and then the other. And it's just this beautiful intoning and raising of the frequency that reminds us to heal. That's, you said earlier, there's a lot about things that we don't understand. A lot of it is energy. It's all energy, it's all frequency. And a lot of our healing comes from us, and it's a cooperation with the universe. We have to be in the right frame of mind and energetic body to receive that. So
Well, the pushback on that is what people usually gives is like, I've tried doing positive affirmations. I tried,
sure.
and the optimum word is tried, because trying is dying. Okay. It's like anything else in life. If you go to the gym for a month, okay, don't expect to stay in shape for the rest of the year. Okay.
Right.
So it takes time. And people are not willing to put time. And everybody says, well, how much time do I need to put into this? Everyone is different.
Yeah.
I always ask people, the first thing I ask them is, how well do you want to be?
Exactly.
No, simple. How well do you want to be? What are you
Yeah.
willing to put into this? It takes time to change a mindset. A lot of the research shows it takes 90 days to change a behavior. So, in order to change a mindset, it might take 90, 60, 120. Everyone's different. How
Yeah.
much energy you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Right.
It's like
I mean,
meditation. Most people can't meditate. Oh, well, let's put it this way, they won't meditate. They
yes.
can, but they won't because it's too much effort. They get itchy. Their brain doesn't want to turn off. Well, yeah, because you're practicing. Okay, you're learning how to do this. It takes time, takes effort, takes discipline, but the end result is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's just like healing. When I'm healing my neck, when I showed my doctor how well I healed, it blew him away.
Yeah.
He goes,
I can
I never
believe
seen
that.
anything like this. But you got to use this to also, besides everything else, is the most important thing is how you
Oh,
look at you
100%. A
and the
lot of people
energy you put into
hold on
healing.
to their pain. Their pain becomes their story.
No,
And
because that's their friend and their
yeah,
lover.
it's their buddy. Yes.
People don't realize it. You said it. I don't want this. What are you talking about? Well, if you don't want it, why do you have it? Well, I try to get rid of it. I try. No, there
Yeah.
are people. If one person can get rid of something, so can you. You just got to follow
Miracles happen
directions.
every day. Why not you? Right?
Right. And when people say, like going to someone like yourself, Amy, and they go, oh, that's all airy fairy stuff. I always say to people, look, if it works for you, I don't care what you want to call it. I don't want to care if you call it placebo, if you call it works, if you call it spirituality. Who cares? Are you feeling better? Is your
Yeah.
life doing better? Are you changing? Oh, yeah. Well, that's all you needed. Period.
It's a great, big, beautiful world and universe out there, and it speaks many languages. And you're going to find the one that works for you. There's no, straight linear prescribed,
Yeah.
if you do this, that will happen. So just as we're all different, we're all going to find different ways to find healing. But my work, energy work, is one key. That's one key into that world. Others might use prayer. Others might think it's all fluff and just do what the doctor says. Anything that you prescribe to, you're going to have to say, this is going to work for me. I'm going into it with this will work.
Right.
And
Well, one of the things I really believe in, I believe spirituality is the foundation to any kind of recovery, not religion,
sure.
spirituality. Learn to be kind instead of right. Help people less fortunate than you.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. All these gifts that you've got as you were born, that's a gift. Which is, I believe in whatever you believe God is. I always tell people, whatever God is to you, or energy, or life force, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, you got a gift. Now, it's what you do with that gift is you give back to that creator, whatever
Yes.
that is, or whoever that is. And the bottom line is that you need to appreciate everything in life that you have instead of looking at what you don't have.
Oh, then you'll
Unfortunately,
get
that's
more
what
of
people
that.
do.
Yes.
I want to jump in because we're going to be run out of time without hitting a few points here that I want to. First of all, Amy, you said you're a business analyst,
Yes.
and then it seems like almost opposite. Business analyst is very generic, very very logical, very straightforward, and then you're almost into this ethereal area of Reiki and everything else. How did you get involved with that?
Well, I always see them as two sides of the same coin. There's both hemispheres of the brain are engaged in that work. I have, I was raised on In Search Of, so I believe in Bigfoot and anything that comes in that world of there's just something more out there that can't be explained. So I've always had a belief in that. I did have a very profound experience that happened to me that really opened me up spiritually in 2019. And from that point, I was like, there really has to be something more here. And that's what drove me to learning about energy work and how those things fit together. Up until that point, I'm a business analyst. I'm analytical. I'm trying to make it all make sense. And I find on the other side of that experience and the education and effort I've put in the last couple of years, they all just come together. Those skill sets keep building off each other. And, in the world of healing, I'm relatively new, but I've always had that other side engaged. And so I'm just sort of creeping along, putting it all together.
It's kind of funny because John and I worked together. How long ago was that at G&G? How long ago was that now?
15 years.
10 or 15, yeah, whatever it was, a long time ago. He owned a treatment center. I worked there. And what was funny was we saw across the hall, like John was on his side of the hall in his office, and everything he did was about helping people.
Yes.
The business was important, but it was the people came first. But then he had people across the hall that says, no, business is first. And you need that to balance. So to have that kind of analytical logic and then that kind of openness in the same person, it doesn't conflict at all.
No, I don't see that.
Okay.
I see it as a strength. I don't.
I don't see an idea. I'm a business consultant also.
Right.
And I don't see that at all. Matter of fact, if I'm going to do consulting with somebody and all they care about is money and not helping people, if I'm going into that arena, I don't deal with them.
So you both got to find a way to balance those two
to,
things.
Life is about balance.
Anytime my phone rings, whether it be for analyst work or spiritual work, the first thing out of their mouth is something doesn't feel right. And so if you just go into that mindset of like, okay, I'm going to listen, what doesn't feel right? And just like with the analyst work, I can compartmentalize and be like, okay, this sort of belongs here and here. And you just chunk away at it.
I like that. Now, if people are looking for you, first of all, who should reach out to you? And how do they reach out to you? But what kind of people should be reaching out for your kind of help? Because a lot of people haven't done it before, and it should be a good chance to try it, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You've caught me in a wonderfully weird time right now. I am changing my business name from Improvised Magic, and you can find me online with that, improvisedmagic.com. It has all the services that I do, and you can contact me off of that. I'm not booking right now because I'm switching over to soulenergyevolution.com. You can find me there, but you can read about some of the services that I do. I don't subcontract analyst work, so it would all be in the spiritual realm of things. In addition to Reiki healing, I also use my performance and improv background to help people create a relatable experience, sort of I call it quantum improv. It's kind of hokey, but people tell me, what is that thing you're trying to bring to life? Is it healing? Is it to connect with someone? Let's talk about it. And we create that. We create that scene, that story. And what that does is just opens that emotional heart space and creates an emotion in it that goes out to the universe, to the realms of infinite possibility. And that's it. You see what happens. You're putting intent out in the world. And that's one of my favorite things to do for fun. But, energy healing, any of that, sound healing, I can do some of that stuff digitally. I have an office in Ballston Spa, New York. So if you're in the capital region, contact me through my website and we'll talk.
Okay.
John, I mean, you went through a lot of things to learn about energy healing because you didn't grow up in that, but you learned about it and you made it an important part of all the treatments you did was working on their energy and helping them with that. So if people are thinking about doing it and they think maybe it's a bunch of hooey, what do you want to tell them?
Well, look, people don't trust people, number one.
Yeah.
Okay. People are very, that's what blocks them from learning things. Because, all I can tell you is this. There are people that do Reiki, and I'm going to be honest with you, that don't know what they're doing. Okay.
Oh,
It doesn't mean Reiki's not good. It just means that they just don't.
You can say that about any profession too, though. I mean, there's good and bad, right?
That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. There are people that do psychedelics that don't know what they're doing. There are people that do know what they're doing. There are Reiki masters that are really unbelievable. And then there are other ones that, whatever works for people, but you got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't just sit back and say, well, that sounds a little bit too far for me. Well, how's your way working? That's it. I look at it that way. So if your way's not working, maybe you need to entertain looking at somebody else's what they're doing.
And when you try something new, I mean, if you can't go in with a completely positive attitude, at least try to be open. At least try to be open.
Well,
because you can deny anything.
Well, here's the deal. I do my best to keep try out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Because like I tell people, try to get off the chair. Let me know how you do. Okay. You get off the chair, you don't get off the chair. So the bottom line is that people go in with an attitude of it's not going to work. And guess what? It's not going to work. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what you know. If people have mindset that something's not going to work, I don't think it's going to work. That's how powerful the mind is.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I've had people who've approached me for like a reading, like a tarot, oracle, or something like that. And they approach it with this wall up, like, you're going to prove to me that you can do this. And that you're just making my job harder, That's just
so for those out there who don't believe in any of these new, but not so new things that are coming out.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like meditation. It's only been around for thousands of years, but what the heck did they, what the heck? I believe this way. Anything that stands the test of time, like acupuncture and all these things, they must have some validity to them. Okay. Yes. And the bottom line is, it's just like I'm into the UFO thing, and now all of a sudden, Congress and everybody's looking at UFOs, and they want to know what's going on, and the military's not telling us, and everybody used to laugh at me about the UFOs, and now they go, wow, why is there so much action on this? Because you can't deny something that's in front of your face.
Absolutely.
And just because we're unfamiliar with what we're talking about or doing, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and doesn't mean it doesn't work. And it also doesn't mean it does work. You have to experience the experience for yourself.
That's right. We're up against time now for the show, but Amy, I want to thank you for joining us. It's it's a very stressful time of year. We're going into holidays, more time with families. We've got a new year coming up, whether it's a business or just your personal life. It seems like everything comes to the head this time of year. What message would you like to send out there for people that are hustling and bustling and feeling bad all the time?
Wherever you go, whatever you do, you are still going to be involved in all of that. So if it's 5 minutes a day, if it's just in the drive to work, be quiet, go in, listen to those things that are coming to you, and follow those things. Take time for yourself this season. Let it be a little quiet now and again, so you can hear what's out there, and go see your favorite Reiki master.
Love it. So soulenergyevolution.com. Check her out. You can read about all of the stuff that Amy's doing up there in New York. Yes. And we really appreciate you taking time to spend some time with us today.
Yeah. You gave me a lot of education, which my analyst mindset loves. So thank you for that. It was a pleasure to be here with you both.
Hey, Amy, go to my website, John, the letter J, Giordano.com. You'll see a whole bunch of things on there.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll do.
I'll forward the website to you and all the other information, because we're going to be contacting you and I talking separately about some other things. But Amy, once again, thank you. John, good to see you back, brother. Good to see you back on your feet and doing well.
I'm doing well. I just got to learn how to turn my head down. I'm good.
It's all right. It's all right. Just what's behind us doesn't matter. The hell with it. Just keep going.
I want to
forward.
see what's alongside of me.
All right.
Wonderful.
For our guest, Amy Nolte, John Giordano, I'm your co-host, Scott Jones. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here
Yeah.
on Psychedelic Treatment Podcast.
Bye.